It's now my great honor to introduce the student speaker for today's ceremony, Aditya Mahajan. Adi is a management consultant at Korn Ferry. He advises organizations on M&A integration and operational excellence. By the age of 30, he had lived and worked in the US, the UK, the Middle East, Malaysia, Singapore, and India. Almost every English-speaking country in the world except Australia. Don't worry, you still have time. What are his values? He espouses the virtues of diversity and inclusion. He truly believes that success should be based on merit. He was recently told by some of his classmates, "Adi, you're like Switzerland. You get along with everyone, and everyone gets along with you." That reflects his philosophy of inclusion. Taking people for who they are, just people. Known for having a very good sense of humor and thereby getting out of many sticky situations. Maybe you'll elaborate on that a little bit. Could you please join me in welcoming Adi to the podium?
The black one. Oh. Good morning to our distinguished professors, Wharton staff, dearest families, and my classmates. It is my honor to take the podium today to thank all those that have made these 2 grueling years such a success. I hope my words today do justice to your thoughts. To the families, I know the last 3 weeks have been anything but normal. That stranger that now nervously walks through the hallways of your home, picks up the kids from school, shows up for family events, and is trying to catch up on many errands on those expired to-do lists is about to graduate today. I am aware that each of our relationships have felt the strains of this marathon. But while you were not on this track running with us, it is your support and your faith that has made us believe that we have what it takes to complete the course. Many conversations would have been initiated, but may have never found their closure over these 2 years. Personally, I believe that sometimes it's for the best. Your significant other might have been physically away from you every second weekend, or mentally away from you, trying to submit an assignment. I can vouch that each of us has nothing but admiration for the efforts and the sacrifices that you have made to keep our worlds in orbit. I'm sure that all of us have gone through some really difficult times and been overwhelmed by emotions and situations over these 2 years. I hope you take a moment today to reflect on them, close your eyes and think about those moments, but I also request that don't do that while you're driving back home. Today is a good day, and it's about discussing all things positive. Over these 2 years, friends and families sitting right here have moved states, have moved jobs, have moved houses, and miraculously, some of us have even found the time to introduce new lives into this beautiful world. You know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I'd like to thank the 2 people who have motivated me to achieve my very best all my life through the sheer faith in my potential and the endless positivity regarding my future, my parents. I'd like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to them and let them know that I can feel their warmth right here on this stage. Thank you very much. To our professors, thank you for treating each one of us as a personal challenge. I think I speak for the batch. We can be challenging. You helped us sharpen our skills, augment our knowledge, and gave us the confidence to tackle even the deepest moments of self-doubt with panache. I have a little gift for you, so give me a few seconds. I'd also like to thank the administrators and the support staff who have been like family to us over these 2 years. Peggy, Bernie, Bob, Ala, Steve, Mike, all of whom have helped calm the nerves associated with this journey by taking every potential obstacle away from us and helping us focus on what is truly important and the reason why we are here today. And Wana, who has been a guide and a friend to us, and to many other batches of Wharton, of course, saving her best for the very last, batch 43. We'd like to wish you nothing but the very best. A very long round of applause for them, please. So I promised a little gift to the professors, in fact, to the families as well who are right here with us. Have you ever wondered what sort of students these guys make once they leave your homes and come to classes? I've tried to narrow it down to about 3 or 4 categories, and I'll let you decide where they fit in. The first category is that of the Palomino Scholar. To be a Palomino Scholar, as I have observed from a very safe academic distance, requires the utmost discipline, self-sacrifice, and mental application to score top grades in a highly competitive environment. This is what you know. What you don't know is that these Palomino Scholars edit PowerPoint presentations long after they've been submitted. They're on blue jeans sharing their wisdom even when there's no one else online. And they have a reasonable tolerance for the average-minded human race, especially those that are weak in both forms of accounting, managerial or the other one. In fact, you can spot this rare species in class by the magic 5 words, which come in the form of a question. Will these slides be shared? Okay, so that's the Palomino Scholars. On the other end of the spectrum is what I call the Palomino Scholar. Now, for the families in the room, Palomino is a resto bar just outside the Wharton campus, so this scholarship is slightly unofficial. These Palomino Scholars require many of the same virtues, such as mental application, self-sacrifice, etc., but their fountain of knowledge is a few floors below the Wharton campus. You see these grateful souls walk through the hallways of our campus, lurching from one disaster to the next, and by disaster I mean classes, hoping that the latter will make more sense than the former. It doesn't. The 2 people who know them the best are Wana and the Wharton bartenders. Wana, because she reminds them that the grades have been refreshed online, and the Wharton bartenders help them drown their sorrows, albeit for a small commercial gain. There's another category of students who've had quite a few questions to ask over these last 2 years, and even the Almighty can't answer them all. These students bring their inquisitive minds to class, and you will often spot them with an arm outstretched for no particular reason, as if trying to grab for the stars. I have long felt that they've forgotten the purpose of their elbow joint, and I often wonder how they put their shirts on in the morning. Their questions start streaming in right after the professor has said good morning, and long after the professor has excused themselves to the far reaches of the campus, even for a comfort break, only to be reminded that you can run, but you can never hide. And lastly, there are those that are just glad to be here. These students are the forces to reckon with. Young, well, mostly, driven, and in their perpetual preparation for their next dream professional break. They're juggling domestic duties with the deftness of a ballerina, and yet find the time to burn the midnight oil to succeed over here. You'll find them at the campus lunch tables, discussing world affairs, and then kicking back in the evening with a drink or 2. Each conversation leads to some new discovery about new achievements, often met with the amazement that they deserve. And then there is me. Look, I don't fit into any of these categories, and I'll tell you why. I believe I've made it this far for 2 reasons. 1, God's benevolence, and 2, my mother's overconfidence in my abilities. Because I'll tell you why. As I recall, when I was going through the student profiles, as you all did, my first reaction was of fright and anxiety. As I sat back thinking to myself, how can I ever compete with these 99 spectacular individuals who are all better than me? My overachieving alpha personality just couldn't swallow that fact. But then that first week in Philly, as I shook hands and I clicked glasses, I realized that I was feeling the sense of calmness. For once in my life, I could just sit back and learn through osmosis from all these beautiful superstars walking around me. All my classmates have been nothing but humble about their achievements, and every opportunity to speak with you has been a blessing. So, to wrap up my speech, especially for all of you, I've written something that I hope you can translate for your families as you head back home. Right? It's a trip down memory lane. We gather here today to celebrate our toil, those treacherous days and the midnight oil. I envisioned this day when I took the leap. It came in my dreams through my fleeting sleep. The sweaty palms and the trembling feet, the labored breath and the nervous beat. But as I close my eyes to recall the past, fond memories surfaced thick and fast. That call from Barb was pure delight when she graciously offered the admissions invite. My happy hippo dance would have put the best to shame. And for all those that have suffered me over these 2 years, well, she's the one to blame. The admission fee, however, truly stung, for it cost me a kidney and my favorite lung. It effectively ended my happy hippo dance. No wonder Wharton's the best school for finance. That week in Philly is still a haze. The classes, the students, and the networking maze. And my first-year study group, which is still truly baller, for all 6 had the vision to be a Palomino Scholar. But the first week of classes put us right in our place, with a smattering of smetter jokes to begin the race, with Nikolai's collected strategy all the way to the end consumer, and who would have thought that even accountants have a sense of humor? We soon flocked west to the better shore, the fire in our bellies in the quest for more. And more is what Corey had in mind, with many profound questions at every opportunity he'd find. Our faces might look old to mirror our worldly view, but then there's always the curious case of Jelilu. The booming laughter that'd shake the ground, we'd always know when Dan's around. And then there was Kim next on my file, the most positive soul with the warmest smile. And here's a question we've been struggling since the advent of rice, is how can Talbot, Shri, Chase, Flora, and Ashley always be this nice? By term 2, I started seeking help for my academic disappointment. But I was informed that TAs Karthik, Nima, Sarin, and Janakan only meet by appointment. I eventually turned to Mayuk, Scott, Richie, and the other Karthik to understand how they survived this all, and I was unanimously informed that the solution almost always is alcohol. The priceless advice that I picked up for free was by drinking in the wisdom of Arindam, Joe, and Milne. There were other nice stories I picked up on the way, little tidbits on Vegas that are best not to say. By term 3, I'd spoken with all 3 Chris's in our batch, the pilot, the golfer, and the perfect catch. And I won't say much about our Greek plight. I'm just glad that SFPD has issued a shoot it side. By term 4, I turned off all my academic alarms by simply watching Petito and his boyish charms. I spent more time catching over lunch. It's where I realized that even Yang can pack quite the punch. The skill to sleep with your eyes open makes Ajay quite a rare find. And I swear Chad is actually inspired to help me hit the gym. We should also thank Lauren for a different account, and that's for the generous Gap friends and family discount. The one group that stood out is what I call Tulika's 6. Bound by pure affection with Pandu somewhere and somehow in the mix. I'm glad we all had Parni, so selfless and helpful to the core. I'm simply going to say a big thank you from the batch, and then I'll say no more. Soumya, Shekhar, Pranjal, and Deepthi save me a few heart strokes. I truly love how they start chuckling without ever finishing their jokes. And guys, do you remember when Rohit went shirtless in class and kicked up quite a racket? I bet you all instantly wondered whether Eric would ever change his jacket. The list goes on, as it surely will. To capture all good memories here is a task uphill. It's like tracking all of Jodi's achievements on LinkedIn, or for Carol to start in an Adidas commercial called The Original Sin. So I'll end this speech with a heavy heart, in the hope that we never drift apart. As students of Wharton, we'll always stand tall, and in the immortal words of the Musketeers, all for one and one for all. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.